everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are a couple minutes late. You can blame my Wi-Fi for that. So sorry about that we're a couple minutes late here. I want to go ahead and welcome you all to the LearnDash live training series. Today we're going to cover the new challenge exams feature. So we're going to answer some questions, walk you through it, and then also get some more questions at the end. So I just want to give everyone a moment, everyone that's going to join, a few moments to get in here. And while we do that, I am going to do a few icebreakers to get us all acquainted. All right, so Nate Walker said it's a shame-free zone. I really appreciate that. Thank you. You guys are so nice. All right, so our first icebreaker is, where's everyone joining from today? You can go ahead and add that to the chat. I am coming from Atlanta, Georgia. And we are still waiting for some nice spring weather where it's not too warm and not too cold. I'm very upset with the groundhog. I think that he lied to us. So it's kind of messed up. All right, we got someone, Lottie from Alberta, Long Beach in the building, South Africa, Louisiana, Clarksville, Georgia. That sounds very familiar. I feel like that's North Georgia. I got Philly in the building, Bulgaria. Wow, Reno, the UK. Awesome. All right, thank you guys so much for joining us today. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next icebreaker question. Let me just grab it. All right, so put a 1 in the chat if you are new to LearnDash. Put a 2 in the chat if you are a LearnDash Pro or or you just got started with LearnDash. I think someone last time put a 1.5 in the chat. All right, so we got some people that's new, got some people that has experience with LearnDash. Love to see it. So this is a great webinar because it's going to cover a brand new feature. So I know sometimes with myself, if I see a new feature, I don't always, kind of go to it. Just kind of walks you through it and see if it is applicable to what you're offering inside of your courses. So that is a great piece to it. All right, so my last icebreaker question is, share a link to your course in the chat. So if you are feeling brave and want other people to check out your course and kind of get some free marketing to it, go ahead and put your course link in the chat. I will add mine as well. It is still a work in progress. And Jack, have we made any progress on your course since last time?
We have not. It remains in my head.
Yeah, difficult.
It's not even reached the Google Docs stage of planning. It's kind of reached every time I think of it, I forget the previous lesson I planned, so I think of a new lesson, and it's planning.
I think I asked this last time because we have a new course creation wizard, so you can take a playlist from YouTube, Vimeo with Sia. So do you have any YouTube or Vimeo content?
Not me. I'm
okay.
I'm purely written down text sort of person. You can see how awkward I am on camera, so I'm not really
You are not awkward. You are great. You are great. All right, so that question, the last icebreaker, we usually don't get that many links in the chat. So we want that to change in the future, guys. So just think about that. We would love for you guys to share your course and kind of get some free marketing to it. And also we can, choose one of you guys to be our next case study, which can be exciting and also more marketing for you. All right, so we're going to start a little bit different. Usually we kind of get right into the screen share portion of this, but I want to just answer some questions that we got. So if you register on our website for this webinar, then you have the opportunity to add some questions. So there were about 4 or 5 ones that I thought were great that we can go ahead and get started with. And let me just go ahead and put one of those up. All right, so one of our first questions is, can you use a challenge exam to skip between parts of the same course? It sounds like a no, but I just want to get that from Jack, if he knows for sure.
Yeah, it's a no right now in the MVP. So it's planned for a future release to allow people to kind of skip lessons. So you can go from like lesson 1 to lesson 5. But at the improvement in its current state, you can only go from course to course.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. I'm trying to think of a use case where that may be applicable, where you may want to kind of skip between, I guess, different parts of a course. I guess if you have like one section on baking, I love to use cooking references if you guys haven't noticed. One section on baking, one section on cooking, and then you have like a master exam. So, I mean, that could be, I think I answered my own question. So, no
Yeah,
need.
like if I always go for a programming example, but like if you're learning a new language and you kind of know PHP and then you start learning another language and they start with the hello world example, like it kind
Mhm.
of gets boring if you already know languages. So it'd be useful you can skip sections that maybe you know, but you don't know the whole course. So like you may know the first
Mm.
chapter, but you don't know the second chapter. So you can skip that and go to the second one. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, and when you said language at first, I was thinking of like foreign languages or learning another language to speak, but then you were talking about actually programming languages. So,
Yeah.
alrighty.
Yeah. Sorry, that wasn't over clear. I was just like, yeah, programming example. Cool. Woohoo.
That's fine. So I have another question. So does this mean a learner must pass one test before they move on to another of a higher level, for example?
Um Sorry, I'm gonna reread the question
Yeah,
because
go right ahead. It was a little bit the way it was
a
worded.
learner must
So.
pass one test before they move on to another or higher level. Uh, I guess you could have it work like that if you wanted to, but it's not required. Like,
Mhm.
so you can have a challenge exam. A challenge exam is always at the start of a course, and it's basically testing if the user has knowledge of the entire course's content because it is based on that entire course. So if they do and they get all them questions right, you're basically saying you can go to another course. So yeah, the way I would personally structure it would be like if someone buys like a course package and they have like junior, intermediate, and advanced, then maybe they start off on junior, they take the challenge exam. If they pass that challenge exam, then they go on to intermediate. And if they fail
Mhm.
that, then they stay in intermediate instead of moving to advanced. So that's the kind
Right.
of like hierarchical structure that I would do.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and I got that from that question too. That it doesn't have to be a requirement, it's just something that you can do if you want to offer that the option for your students. And I think another great question is where do kind of like prerequisites and challenge exams kind of go together at, or do they kind of work separately?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think they kind of work more separately in a sense because
Hmm.
a prerequisite, you're kind of saying, I want them to have knowledge of this subject and I want them to complete it in full before they move to the next one. And the challenge
Hmm.
exam kind of does that too, but the prerequisite could be as simple as, say, going through a course and just listening to all the lessons. There's not necessarily a quiz involved. You're not a prerequisite. You're not always necessarily testing someone's knowledge. You're only really testing that they. Well, you're not testing anything. You're only really saying, did the user complete course A? And that course may not necessarily have a quiz. So, whereas a challenge exam, you're actually kind of testing their knowledge of do they get these answers correct or incorrect. And if they
Hmm.
do, then move them on.
Okay. And just to let everyone know, I'm not crying. It's springtime. It's a lot of pollen here in Atlanta. And so, like, I am sniffling, my eyes are watering, and I'm inside, but oh my God, it's terrible. I'm so sorry. Oh, wow. Okay. So, I have another question here. I'm interested in an automatic grading platform that is not too technical, but will allow information sent to Google Classroom. Is Google Classroom compatible to LearnDash?
The quick answer is no. The long answer
Okay.
is possibly. Uh,
Okay.
I think there's some integrations available out there somewhere. Most probably, you could do something maybe with Zapier or similar type of platforms, but there's no out of the box integration. I mean, I always like to say that everything in websites is possible and programming is possible, providing you have the money and time to do it. So
Mhm.
it's definitely possible to custom develop something. Is it there right now? No.
Okay. All right. And Google Classroom is kind of like, I think, an LMS in itself, kind of, or just I guess, a video. And I'm not 100% sure on this, but just
Yeah,
asking.
I would kind of say it's like a lightweight LMS. I guess it's not maybe
Hmm.
tool for LMS, but it's used quite heavily in classroom settings. Obviously, Google Classroom's a good name, fits in the
Google
classroom.
Classroom.
But I don't think many. I'm not aware actually of that many like subject matter experts using Google Classrooms. It's always more like, you know, preschool, primary school, high school kind of settings, as opposed to independent course creators using it.
Right, yeah. So it's more so seems like for live instruction, like you're sitting in a classroom, you got, first period, second period. I don't know if they have like periods, or if they call them the same thing in London, like when you have different classes at different times.
It depends on the age and what's
Mm,
at school. So in secondary school, which is our high school, they do have that, but they call it something a little bit different.
okay, that's interesting. I would just love to hear all the different terms we use, like in the US versus other places. So that's pretty interesting as well. Just thought of that. All right, so some of these questions are related to challenge exams, some of them are not. So maybe about two more, and then we'll kind of get into everything. All right, so this one is, will it be possible to use one learning path with multiple courses in, I guess, in your course site?
Choose one learning path, multiple courses in your course site.
That one's a little confusing.
No, I understand the question, but I
Okay,
actually need to quickly check something
okay,
to
okay.
see if it can. I think it can, but let me double check. And this is why you always have a spare test site ready to go when someone asks something.
Yeah.
No.
So
Uh,
someone just asked in the chat, are you going to show a demo today? We are. I just kind of want to try a different format to see if we can get some questions out there first. Because I think that if you see questions and then we kind of get into the demo at the end, then that will kind of maybe inspire you to like have another question or something like that. So just wanted to try to see if that worked. But yes, we are doing the demo today. We're not just being talking heads. So we will get to that.
so back to that question on the is it possible to use the learning path for multiple courses? Right now, no, it's a single select box. So I would say you could clone it, but I don't like saying you can clone it because cloning stuff normally breaks stuff. In LearnDash 4.2, though, we're actually adding cloning to LearnDash Core. So we will have a way in the future that you could clone the challenge exam and then use it with a different course without having to rebuild the whole thing, which will be kind of neat.
Okay, awesome. So I'm just gonna do one last question before getting into the demo. So I just seen one pop up, which is I think was a great question. And there was also another question about will there be a recording? Yes, it's going to stay on YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube channel, I think it takes a few hours to actually show up, but at least by this time tomorrow it will show up. So Tim Jefferson asked, does the instructor see how many attempts there are or there were on challenge exams, like stats?
Yeah, so we have some basic statistics with challenge exams, but they're not that fleshed out at the moment. So we still need to do things like integrate challenge exams with ProPanel and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But there are some basic stats there. They're just not super in depth right now.
Okay. All right, sounds good. So I'm not going to keep you all waiting anymore. I'm going to go ahead and go to my sandbox and show you guys show you the challenge exams feature and walk you through that. All right, so we are in the WordPress dashboard. I'm going to give it a few moments. If you can see my screen, please put a 1 in the chat. Just want to make sure that's working before we go any further. All right, and I can actually see it on my end on my phone. So we are getting ones. Great. Alrighty, so to find the challenge exams feature, you definitely want to make sure you are updated to the latest version of LearnDash to make sure it's in there. So this was a part of our 4.0. So as long as you have 4.0 or later of LearnDash, then you should be able to see the challenge exams new little section here on the, what do you call this, a fly out window here. So I'm going to go over to challenge exams and walk you through one that I've already created based on one of our courses. So I'm going to click on edit. And Jack, feel free to stop me if you want to point out anything that I may be missing on this. So feel free to do that. All right, so here we are. So when you first get to this page, everything is going to be blank. Of course, I'm I've created a challenge exam example kind of course for you all just to have something already in here. So of course you would add your exam title, whatever you want that to be. And then there's going to be, I think when I went into it, there was already a question there, but if there's not, then you would just go to the plus sign, or you could do the forward slash on your keyboard to pull up that block for this one. So the
Yeah.
challenge exam question, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just want to stop you there just for 1 second. So
Yeah.
in the challenge exams, a little bit of technical background is that the challenge exams are Gutenberg, so they're the block editor, and we use a block editor pattern. So when you open up a challenge exam, it will always have the question block there to start with, and then as you add questions, it will just keep popping up another question block. And if you don't want it, you can just ignore it, and it won't be output on the front end unless you actually input data.
Okay. And I was reading the docs earlier. So something that's also interesting is that I believe you can only have access to this challenge exam block if you're on the actual challenge exam page. So you can't just put this on like a regular post or page on WordPress. Is that correct?
Correct. Right now, we
Okay.
restrict which pages that the blocks can be used on, so we just leave it to the ones we know where it works.
Okay. All right. And there was a quick question. Will this work with Elementor? So would you have to build it, I guess, with the Gutenberg blocks, or would you be able to kind of do it on the front end with Elementor?
No, you have to build it in Gutenberg. You can't build
Okay.
it in Elementor.
Okay, and that makes perfect sense. So I have a few questions I just think I just did about three. What color is the sky? And so you do have different options. So let me not get ahead of myself. So when you choose a question, when you go over to block, there's a different question type. So you can do single or multiple. So single just means it has one correct answer. Multiple means it has multiple correct answers. And I think, am I right about that, Jack?
Yeah, that's correct. It's
Okay.
very simple right now, just single choice, multiple choice with multiple. And then in the future, we'll be adding additional question types. So I
Mhm.
know that's going to be a question people are going to wonder is like, are more question types coming? And the answer is yes. Not right now, but they will be.
Okay. All right, so we have I kind of switched it to the multiple, but I was trying to go back. Do I need to start over with my question if I decide I want to do multiple, but then I want to change it back to single?
No, you should be able to do that straight from the settings for the block.
And so weird, I don't see it anymore.
I think you may not be in the right block looking at that. Try clicking
Uh-oh.
a because it's the top level block in.
Okay, there it is. Okay, yeah, so when I click the question, and that may be something that you all may run into. So I think I was clicking here and it wasn't doing anything, but you have to click on the actual question for it to come back up again. So I'm going to make this back single. And I just have like three questions here. Um, and so like Jack said earlier, you can continue just to add more questions to it if you want. If you want to remove a question, then you can just click on these three dots and remove challenge exam question. Now there's another part that comes up where you can add more descriptive text to it. And is that automatic where it comes up to add descriptive text? And it looks like it is.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. All right, so once you have all of your questions in there, so next you want to update the settings, like when this challenge exam, when it's who can take it, when it shows up. So we're gonna just go over to the settings tab and just kind of review the different settings here. And if Jack, if I just kind of just go through each one, if you want to just give a brief explanation like what it does, that would be great.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sure. So no enrollees only. The purpose of that was if you want to associate a challenge exam with an existing course, we didn't want to lock people out of being able to take the rest of their course because if you don't have that option enabled, even if say you're on lesson 4 of 8, they'd be forced to take the challenge exam before they continue on to lesson 5. So if you enable that option, then that means that the challenge exam is only applicable to people that sign up to the course after you've associated the challenge exam with that course.
okay, all right, and then challenge exam course show.
So that's the course where the challenge exam will show. So that's where it will be on that course.
Okay, and so just for clarity, this course, and if the challenge exam shows up on, like, so for example, this build your healthy diet course, if I pass the challenge exam, I don't have to actually take this course. Is that correct?
No, that's the next option. So this is just
Oh, okay.
the course where the challenge exam shows, and
Oh,
then the
okay.
next option, challenge exam pass course, is the course that we're going to automatically pass based on if
Mm.
the challenge exam was completed successfully.
Okay, okay, awesome. So would it make sense if I want to say I passed this course, but I guess it just depends on just a different learning path. So if this was maybe just a part of a ascension series, like I want to say small, medium, large, but easy, medium, and difficult, then you can choose which one of these you want it to show up on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. All right, and then we kind of got to the challenge exam pass course. Let's see. All right, and then we have some settings here. So challenge exam pass button label. So if they pass, does this button show up at that point?
Yeah, so if they pass, we show them a button so that they can kind of go to the next step. So that
Hmm.
next step is basically that button. So you can just, set any text that you want to show them. And then the option under that, which is the redirect URL, that's where you're going to send them if they pass that challenge exam. So, like, if you have an intermediary, like, congratulations page, or maybe you want to take them to like another page to maybe even upsell them on something, that's the path they take there.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And then the message when they've passed exam,
Yep,
that's pretty self-explanatory there. So, all right. So next we have the challenge exam fail button. So this is when people they don't pass and they fail the challenge exam, unfortunately. So this is the button that comes up when they fail, correct?
that's correct. And it's worth
Mm.
noting that with the challenge exams, someone right now we don't have the ability to change the pass percentage. So a challenge exam is only passed if someone scores 100%. There's no option to say, oh, the challenge exam's passed if you get 80% of the questions right. It has to be 100% pass rate or they don't pass.
Okay, and that makes perfect sense. And so we also have a redirect URL. So maybe you want to take them to a page where, hey, maybe you should scale up a little bit more, or take this course instead
Right.
before attempting. So, okay. And then looks like the last little setting we have here is to add a message. I just kind of put some text here. Sorry, please try again. All right, so now we want to preview the challenge exam. I took it earlier. I'm not sure if it's going to show up again for me, but let me see.
As an admin, it should,
Okay,
hopefully.
all right,
Otherwise,
let's see.
something's broken.
All right, so here is my challenge exam. I guess on that, I'm wondering, can you add more text here? I didn't even think about that earlier when we were on that, like that main page when we're adding the questions. Can you use the other blocks to add like maybe some descriptions or images to this page or something?
Yeah, so if you click Edit Challenge Exam to just dive back into the back end,
Okay, yeah, let's
and
do that really quickly.
what you'll see is where you've got that challenge exam example, if you go one block down from that, you can actually add like a description to that page. So
Okay, wait.
one block up from where you are now, but it's kind of it may yeah. So if that's it, there you go. So you can just add like an image, description text, or anything you want there, and it will show up on that page before the questions.
Okay, and on the last webinar last week, we learned that you can either go to the plus sign here or the toggle box to put something in, or
Mhm.
you can do this forward slash and you can kind of type in whatever you're looking for, and
Yep.
that will allow you to, I think it's paragraph or something to put some text.
Just,
Uh,
just text. You can just type. You don't need to select the block.
that is very true. All right. I just had a brain fart moment there. This is a challenge exam example text. All right, and we add an image. And I already had something on my computer. All right, so now we can view the challenge exam. Now we have some text on here. So it looks a little bit better. Kind of give people some context, what's going on. And then now we can start the challenge exam. All right, so I guess I'll answer these questions correctly. What color is the sky? I believe that's blue. Where year is it? This 2020 part 2 is really cracking me up. I know it's my own joke. So 2022. And what sound does a dog make? I believe that's a roof. All right, so congrats, I passed, and you can see kind of like the settings we did before. Take next course based on what we selected, and then I can view my results. So that is it. Jack, is there any other tips or anything I missed that we can kind of cover before we go to questions?
No, I think you covered it all really well. It's I would say right now it's lightweight challenge exams. It offers some really good functionality to build challenge exams and the basis of learning paths. And just for everyone watching, we're working a lot more on more advanced functionality, more advanced learning path capabilities. So stay tuned.
Awesome, awesome. So this is the time if you want to put any questions in the chat. I'm going to go through what we have at this point. I'm going to keep this screen up just in case there's something that we can kind of show you all while we're inside of or answering a question. So let me just scroll here. We answered the one about Gutenberg. So I guess Melody, she just kind of confirmed it again. To use it, you have to use Gutenberg. That is correct. I'm wondering, I guess the page styling, I guess that wouldn't matter as much because you still want to kind of keep that focused. So I think that I don't even think there would be kind of really a use for maybe a page builder on that page because the content is coming from LearnDash and everything. So does that make sense?
Yeah, that
If you
makes
have to style the page, really.
yeah, that makes sense. I think down in the future we could see maybe like full site editing in Gutenberg. You could build a custom template if you wanted to, though you can't do that right now. But in the future, maybe you can.
Okay. All right. All right, so we have all the questions single choice only, and we kind of touched on that. So you can do single or multiple questions. So single meaning that it's one correct answer, and multiple meaning that there's several correct answers. And we are planning to add more question types in the future. All right, so we have a question. Is this working with the classic WP editor?
No, it requires Gutenberg, so it doesn't work with the classic editor.
All right, so we have another, I think, good question. Can you set points per answer for multiple style questions? This looks quite different than the builder.
You can't set points per answer now. So, like I briefly covered in the demo, basically, if you want to look at it from the perspective of points, each question is a single point. No points are awarded, and a user has to score. If you got 5 questions, they have to score 5 points. They have to pass 100% of the questions to pass the challenge exam. In the future, we're looking at adding more advanced scoring capabilities. So that's up for discussion right now. But at the moment, you can't know.
Okay, I think this next question is kind of similar that we have. Can the challenge exams be based on interest somehow, or is a score the only way of evaluation?
Yeah, no, so that's a good question because I think that's kind of like what if you wanted to maybe take like a personality test and find out what subjects you're interested in. You can't do that right now with challenge exams. It's not really geared up for that, but it's an interesting question to think about for the future.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, that is a great idea. Right, and let's see. So can you show us how it appears in a course? So yeah, let's go back over. I think this was on our, and I may have to change some settings. This is how this is set up. So I believe it shows on the Build Your Healthy Diet and Meal Plan course we have. So I'm already taking, well, I think I already completed this course actually. So Jack, what would be a quick workaround to kind of show that option to take the challenge exam as a new person or a new enrollee?
You can
But I have,
delete you can delete your progress, but if it's a free course, the quickest would just be to create a new user and see it like that.
oh, okay. So, all right. Well, that would make me like log out. What if I just change it to like a different, but I think I'm taking both of these courses as an admin. So, all right, that's a great question. I should have thought about that one before. Let me see this tutorial one. Is it a new one? Okay, I haven't taken this one, so maybe I can just change that setting on the challenge exam to be that tutorial course instead to show up there.
Yeah, if you haven't started it, that should work.
Okay. All right, so let's do that. All right, so I want to show it on the tutorial. And let's see, I want to show that I passed this one. Okay, updates. Okay, that didn't quite work for me. I think I'm doing something wrong here. Let me see.
Maybe what we can do, if we can't show it now because stuff breaks in the demo and trying to demo things, perhaps
Right.
send a Loom video in the email after as a resource to kind of show how it works there.
Okay, yeah, that may be the best thing because I did not think about showing it on the front end for some reason. I already have that ready. So I apologize, but the follow-up video, we will have that, or the follow-up email that we'll send out will have that.
Yeah.
So sorry we couldn't show you in demo how that looks. All right, so let me go to the next question. All right, so does that mark the course complete with the 100% pass grade? So I'm guessing if they complete the challenge exam with a perfect score, then this question applies.
Yeah, so it does mark the course complete of 100% pass rate, and it also issues all related certificates. So if you have certificates associated with the course itself, or you have certificates associated with the quiz of that course, it will issue them certificates too, and it will correctly mark all steps as complete in Pro Panel. It will mark all steps as complete in the user's profile page, so everything shows that it's been completed.
Okay. And I just thought about something, that tutorial. Does it matter that that tutorial didn't have any content in it? And maybe that was one of the reasons why the challenge exam didn't show up, or I
I'm
just
not
thought of,
too sure. It should have showed up, but maybe because
okay.
you're an admin or you're enrolled or something funky's going on with settings.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay. All right. So Lottie, I guess this is just a something to add. So need to set a passing percentage below 100. That makes it very hard to pass. I do get that, but not just saying, I'm just kind of being devil's advocate. If it's a challenge exam, then I want the person to be very, I guess, knowledgeable about the subject. So I would want them to make 100%. But in the future, we do have that plan to maybe get below maybe an 80% percentile pass rate. Anything you want to add to that, Jack?
Yeah, I would just say for the MVP of the product, it was kind of decided that the purpose of the challenge exam was to test the knowledge of the user, and also in a regulatory setting. If you've got something in your state where they need to pass everything 100%, the only way we
Mm-hmm.
can actively test that out would be to get 100% pass rate. You can't say someone knows everything if they get 99% even. But we will in the future have the options. You can just set whatever pass rate you want, from if you want as low as 1% right up to 99%. So that will
Right.
be available in the future.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it makes me think about maybe corporate trainers that may be using LearnDash. So like
Mhm.
security is a really big thing now. So you want to make sure people maybe pass security, and that would be great if we had that actually. So we don't have to sit through these long security, because it's the same information every year. Like, let us do a challenge exam. So that's a good point. All right. So let's see. If your course offers a certificate, would the student be able to pull the certificate if they pass a challenge exam?
Yep, they will.
All right. That was a great question. All right, so next question. What's the difference between the final quiz function and this challenge exam?
Challenge exams go at the start of a course as opposed to inside the course or at the end of a course. And a challenge exam, you're testing prior knowledge, you're not testing the new knowledge that the learner learned. So a quiz or a final quiz, you're kind of testing on what they're learning throughout the course. The challenge exam, you're testing if they already know the contents of the course itself to then redirect them to somewhere more appropriate.
Okay, yep, that is a perfect explanation for that. So our next question, if someone fails a challenge exam, are they able to retake it after seeing the results correct answers?
So you can allow someone to retake a challenge exam, but you can't allow someone we don't show the answers that they got wrong or not wrong. So there's no. I just actually want to check something on that. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just testing this live because we had in the product team, we was kind of like, do we allow retakes? Do we show the answers? Don't we show the answers? So just okay. So the short version is right now they do see the answers, but we don't allow retakes. But we do have an early version of retakes in some settings that aren't actually in the version of LearnDash that you guys all would be using right now. So the long answer is yes, they can see the answers. No, they can't retake the test. In the future, we have settings for you to both allow them to see or not see the answers and to take or retake the test. And originally, we don't allow them to retake the test because, like I said in the MVP before, the purpose was to make sure that we was testing their knowledge. So it wasn't that great if they could go off to Google and find the answers to what you're trying to teach them and then come back and retake it and pass the whole course because they won't actually understand the subject matter that you're going to discuss in the course at that point.
Okay. All right. So that was a great question. We have one, how do you delete questions? So that is a great one, I think, in regard to the challenge exam. I kind of briefly touched on that. So I'm going to go back into it and show you how to delete a question. All right. So when I go to my questions, if I click on the question itself, you'll see this box appear with the 3 dots, and you can just click on remove challenge exam question, and that will remove it. So.
And you can also backspace.
Oh, backspace. Well, so wait, did I do that wrong?
So if you just backspace all the answers, it will just basically delete the question, technically.
Wait, so is it all the answers I would have to backspace out of? Or am I doing it wrong?
It kind of deletes the question, but it's easier to use the 3 dots.
Okay. Okay, let's just use the 3 dots for now. All right, so we have another question. Is it planned to allow progression between topic lessons of different courses?
Different courses, not right now. It's up for discussion, but not right now. It's planned to allow them to move to different lessons or topics within the same course, but not to jump between courses, because if you're jumping between courses, you've got parameters like course prices and enrollees, strip content, and a ton of other things that potentially impact. If one course is $50 that they brought and one course is $300, and you want them to jump between the course, do you need purchasing in between that to charge them the extra money? Do they even purchase that? So there's a lot of questions there before we could even consider that type of functionality.
That's a great question. All right, so we have another one. Does a challenge exam appear at the end of the course or in between lessons topics? How do you control where it fits in?
Right now, you don't control it. By default, it is at the start of the course because you're testing the knowledge of the learner. If they know the contents of the course they're about to take, to say, no, you know that stuff already, so let's redirect you somewhere else. In the future, we may allow you to place it. That's also up for debate if that's the purpose of the feature or if that's more of an actual normal quiz. So there's no set path forward on that yet.
Okay. And that makes sense because it seems like maybe a final quiz, if you are able to like maybe skip to the final exam, maybe that's an option. All right, so let's see. Another question. Can you redirect once passing a challenge exam to another quiz in another course?
No, is the short answer. You could technically redirect them. You could do it with some custom development. It wouldn't be super difficult to do, but it's not something you can do yourself. You need to have a developer on board to help you do that. Basically, you'd have to enroll the user in the course you redirect them to, and then process the previous steps in that course to get to the point of the quiz.
Okay. We have another one from Catherine again. If you don't allow retake and fail, why say try again and fail message? And how how does a user then ever move forward? So I do want to comment really quickly. I just put some example text in those boxes like a placeholder. So you will of course use a different message, but Jack, you're feel free to add on to that.
Yeah, so they can't try again, but the user progresses by moving through the course that the challenge exam is on. So if the user passes the challenge exam, you move them to something else. If the user fails the challenge exam, they stay in that course and they complete that course like normal. So they take the course content, whether that's lessons, topics, or other quizzes you've got within that course. But they're not stuck in the land of I didn't pass my challenge exam, I can't go anywhere.
Okay. These are going to be our last two questions. We got one from Tim. Can a challenge exam randomly pick from a predetermined bank of questions, thinking about the retake scenario and friends taking the challenge exam?
No, not at the moment. There's no quiz question bank feature on challenge exams, but we are looking at quiz question bank type of features, though it's not an immediate item that's going to be released that quickly.
Awesome. And so we had one from earlier. Is there a way to have a master final exam for 4 courses, all in a group for those who purchase that option or those who have taken the 4 courses individually? So that one's like a few different things happening.
Yeah, I'm just rereading it again. Like, there's always a final exam for 4 courses. I want to agree. No is the answer, though I'm still trying to figure out the use case.
Yeah, so I just think you got 4 courses, okay, and then I'm guessing all 4 courses have your own final exam, but then you want another maybe master final exam for the 4 courses, um,
Yeah,
like a final for all 4. So it doesn't seem like so out of the box, but
yeah, you can't do that right now. I don't honestly think that's going to be something you will be able to do in the near future. That's going to be a custom
mhm.
development piece. So I have 4 consecutive courses. Lottie just said. Um, yeah, so right now, no, you'd have to use the quiz functionality as opposed to challenge exams, and you can mostly change some stuff together in creative ways in the way you present the content to the user, but there's no actual functionality for that in LearnDash itself.
Okay, awesome. So we got a lot of great questions, you guys. We really appreciate you all for participating and asking the great questions. So we are going to send a follow-up email with a link to this replay, and of course, go back through all the chat questions and any other resources that we can provide. If you have additional questions about challenge exams, then you can always reach out to our support team as well to get some help. All right. Anything else we want to add? Jack, when is what is it, 4.2? We have that coming pretty soon.
Yeah, 4.2 coming soon. Coming soon.
Okay. Any sneak peeks that we can share or any?
You'll be able to drip all different types of contents. You'll be able to drip quizzes, topics, not just lessons anymore, which is
Okay.
which is nice. We have the course cloning stuff coming out, which is super cool for a lot of people. That'd be very popular. And we also have a new payment gateway in the form of Razor Pay for our friends over in India. I think it's India's largest payment gateway. And we will have other gateways coming in the future for those of you who are in other countries that don't have particularly good support for PayPal or Stripe, so that you can use LearnDash regardless of where you are.
That's amazing. So, do we have a possible release date, or are we looking toward the end of the month on this one, or May?
Not a release date I'm willing to give now, no. Originally, we were looking towards the end of the month. I would say sometime in May, most probably early May.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So, thank you all for joining. We will see you again next week. We're having the live Q&A. So, bring all of your support questions. We'll be happy to answer those in our webinar next week. And see you next time. Bye.